Let's try this new Natasha Denona Hy-glam Powder Foundation. This retails for $55 for 0.44 ounces, and you can get it at the Natasha Denona website, or you can get it at Ulta online only at this point. Natasha Denona is running a Memorial Day sale just this weekend, so if you wanted to just get this, you can get something like 15% off. Okay, this comes in 36 flexible shades, and it also is refillable, which I ended up doing because I ordered the wrong shade. The shade range is great. It is talc-free, paraben-free, fragrance-free, it does not oxidize, and it has a special Berry Flex Vita to support hydration. It is also cruelty-free. I ended up getting R2. I got RN1, and that was too light for me, so you can kind of see that here. It has a matte finish, medium buildable coverage, and it is supposedly anti-inflammatory, and the refillable pan is $39. This so far is supposed to be more hydrating than your average powder foundation, which I would actually agree with. So let's get started and let's try it on. First, let's start with my skin prep. I always start with some sort of peptide serum, and this First Aid Beauty one's great. I also like to use a vitamin C serum, and this is one of my favorites. And then a moisturizer. I've been using this one lately. Really like this one by Ren. And finally, my absolute favorite sunscreen lately. This is so good. This Sun Shield Soft Glow Daily Face from Kopari. And I still have some texture, so I like to use this pore filling and smoothing and hydrating primer by number 7. This is my favorite. Okay, now they suggest that you use the Hyglam concealer underneath this, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I use R2 in this one as well, and I've been using this forever pretty much as a foundation. She shows it on her website and in her Instagram reels all the time being used this way, and honestly, it's such a good formula. It makes a great foundation. So you're actually going to see when I get finished spreading this all over how good this really looks, even just all by itself. It leaves a glow. It is definitely hydrating, and so it's perfect for if you wanted matte. This is a perfect base for her new powder foundation, or you could just do it, lightly, but I'm going to be testing this out as a powder foundation. Okay, so it comes with this puff. I don't care for the puff. I'm going to use one of my puffs. It supposedly goes on better with her puff. I struggled with that. I felt it's got that weird sort of silicone-y feel where it just sort of slides right over and it doesn't feel like it deposits very much. Maybe that's on purpose, but I didn't feel like I got a really good even coverage with that, which drove me kind of nuts. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm still being like, I'm not trying to put on too much at a time. I'm trying to just sort of pat it in and put a judicious amount and not overdo it, because with any powder foundation, you're gonna end up looking cakey. Here's without. That's, you see the glow, and here's where the glow has been mitigated by the powder. Okay, here's powder on everything. It looks like velvet. This looks perfect. My skin, my texture, everything looks really flawless. I'm really happy with this. And it doesn't feel tight or too heavy. Now, I did order the wrong color first, this lighter one, the RN1, which makes me look like a total ghost. So I used this to set my eyelids instead. Okay, so makeup is all on because everybody always asks. I am wearing the new Nabla Beyond Blur lipstick. This stuff is beautiful. This is in the color Celeste. We're starting the wear test. This is hour 0. Very comfortable. Really like how this smooths some of my texture out and some of my texture areas, and I love the amount of coverage that it has given me already. I probably could have gotten away with not using the concealer, but I think it's really probably going to look better for those of us who have a lot of discoloration and some acne and just general issues, dark under eyes. It's going to be better to not cake on the powder for coverage, but instead use something that's a little more hydrating for some extra coverage, and then do the powder on top of it. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to do a full day wear test, and I will let you know how this wears. I have high hopes. I can say that my skin is different now than it was when I first tried this. I got the wrong color at first. I ended up getting, well, I just wasn't sure what to get because I had to order it. It's still, I don't think, in stores. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to get unless you order it. So I started out with RN1. Normally my concealer is R2, but the R2, which is what they suggested to get, online it looked too dark. Turns out it's not. That it is exactly, you can trust, at least in my experience, what they had online. It was the correct thing to order, and it did match my skin perfectly. So I have to say that I did wear the one that was too light when I was going through the transition from very oily textured skin to normal to dry textured skin, because I got this like a couple weeks ago, and I struggled more with it. The oiliness was fine, the texture and the dryness was not fine, and so I still don't know if it's going to be great for that. The problem was that it was so light that I could only wear it in patches. I couldn't put it all over my whole face the way I did today, and I think that that affected how it looked on me and how I was wearing it, and I couldn't give it a proper test. I think if you have very oily skin and you're not with a bunch of dry patches like I had, I think it would be just fine on you. But anyway, we're gonna do this on normal to dry-ish skin with some texture, but well moisturized today. Okay, enough talking. Let's go ahead and get into the wear test, and then we'll finish up with my final thoughts. All right, let's go. So one thing I am noticing right away is it's not the best under the eyes. There is some creasing already. So I don't know that I would recommend for if you have creasy under eyes, old under eyes. I don't know if I would say that this is probably your best choice. But here's where we're starting. Okay, this is about 4 hours in. You can definitely see in like this harsh light that there's definitely a little texture, but that's really normal for me. This actually looks pretty darn good for 4 hours for powder foundation on my skin. I'm actually really happy with this. Very little change. Here's 5 hours when I got home. The lighting has changed a little bit, and that sort of makes it look a little bit smoother. What you can see is that under my eyes, it's like my makeup has fallen. It's definitely creasy. This is really good. This is like 10 plus hours. I put this on at 7:30 this morning, and what time is it? It is 5:30. So whatever that works out to be. Pretty much all day. I did do some touch-ups, but it was more that I had rubbed some stuff off. I'm actually really, really impressed with this, especially on dry skin. We have made it to the end of the day. This is actually probably my 3rd or 4th day trying this, and this is 10 hours plus. Virtually no change. Now, caveat, I am on Accutane right now because I have extreme oiliness. Super bad, horrible, terrible, the worst, causes cystic acne and causes sebaceous hyperplasia. So I was on Accutane last year. I went off of it for a little while to see if some PRP on my foot, which now needs surgery, was going to work. It didn't work. I was also getting off of it so that I could do some lasers to try and help some of the sebaceous hyperplasias and the texture that it left on my skin. That did a little, not enough, and the sebaceous hyperplasias came back really bad. Without Accutane, I was such an oil slick that there was just no helping it. So I can tell you, because 4 weeks ago I was the oiliest of the oily, full extreme. You have to be in that category in order for them to put you on Accutane. It has to be like it's causing problems for you. That's how oily I was. And so this is me now about 4 to 5 weeks later after being on Accutane, and now I am really not very oily at all. But what I can tell you is that I did get one of the colors when I first ordered it when I was still in the transition and I was still oily. And it worked great on oily skin. It did not look that great on the dry patches from the Accutane with the oily skin, because the oily skin would break it down a little bit, and then it looked a little crusty. It looked great when I first put it on, but if you have like super troubled skin, it's okay on that. I found that it wasn't something that I wanted to reach for, because I found that much powder of any kind, even such a nice, beautiful powder as this, really sort of accentuated all of the dryness and issues and, acne and sebaceous hyperplasias and all the issues I was having and texture. It just made it look a little bit worse. So if you have like ultra troubled skin, I don't know that I would recommend this. It's got medium coverage. I have things with higher coverage, but it's very beautiful when you first put it on, and if you get the right color, it is very beautiful as just a topping powder to other foundations, provided that they are not too heavy. I wore it with some heavier foundations. I did not care for how cakey it ended up looking. This really is one that shines on its own. Now let's take you to today. My skin is normal to dry, and that's why I did all of the skin prep. With proper skin prep, I don't feel dry because of the skin prep. If I didn't put anything on my face because of the Accutane, I'd be too dry. I'd probably start having peeling, scaling, dry patches. I don't get any of that with my low dose Accutane because I do so much skin prep and I keep it really, really moisturized. And that makes it feels great. It's very balanced and beautiful. So really the way my skin, I'd say, is performing right now when it's taken care of is as normal skin, which is something I've never had like before. So right now, I would say I can get it to perform as normal skin, and that is really how I tested this powder. And it wasn't until my skin was like this with moisturizer that I really loved this foundation. I would highly recommend this if you have normal skin with normal amounts of things to cover up and you want that smooth velvety finish. If you don't get super oily and you're not gonna break this up, it just stays kind of looking like you put it on in the first place. If you have oily skin, you're gonna break it up a little bit, but it's easy to powder on top of it. Don't go overboard. If you go overboard, it will look cakey. Okay, so I kind of I managed randomly to be able to test this on like the gamut of skin types. I would say that with my normal to dry skin right now, that's when it looked the best. It really is very, very velvety. It does give you coverage for redness around the nose and issues and things like that. However, it is not as high a coverage as a couple of my other favorite powder foundations that are from the drugstore. I have used these for years. I still use them for spot coverage because they have more coverage. So I use them to cover things like acne or very dark red spots or bruises from getting Botox or something like that. This one does not have as high a coverage as that. It is, however, beautiful all over the face. And one of the reasons that I don't use these other ones all over the face is because they are almost too high a coverage. They, however, are great alternatives if you want to try something like this. You want that velvety finish, but $55, that's a lot. Like, I'm kind of going through this and I'm nervous that I'm gonna go through it, I'm gonna want more, and it's gonna be like, ooh, on repurchasing. So I'm probably gonna wait for sales. I'm gonna keep, racking up points at either Sephora or at Natasha Denona's website in order to get discounts on it because I really like it. I really like it a lot, but $55 is real expensive. What I'm hoping is that she's going to come out with her foundation soon. I cannot wait to see what that foundation looks like because I love, absolutely my favorite is her concealer. And if it's anything like that, I'm going to be in heaven. So anyway, I'm waiting for that to come out. I am guessing that if I really like that, and then I just use this sparingly for spot, powdering, I think it will be a marriage made in heaven. Right now, I think this is absolutely gorgeous, even with drier skin. It's just, I'm going through it. And I feel like I'm going to hit pan in like a month on this. That's expensive. Okay, anyway, so back to it. The Essence 16-Hour Cover and Last Powder Foundation. I think I have the absolute lightest one. This is, I know it says 02. No, that's 01. I can't see crap. It's porcelain. This one has that same velvety quality. Really high coverage. You can really overdo this, but I do absolutely love this. Let's see if you can see it on there. It tends to be a pretty good shade match for me, actually, but if you put it all over the face, it's a little bit light. So because it has so high a coverage, but I think this is like $6. I'll look it up, but yeah, this is really cheap, really good. Too heavy for use under the eyes. This is the classic. It's 01 Pearl. This one's just a tad too dark to put all over my face. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in 01 Pearl, and this one is my, see how it's a little more yellow. This has got really high coverage. It's really too much for all over my face, but it has that same super velvety, beautiful texture. It's a classic. It's been around forever because it's good. Again, too heavy for under the eyes. Not if you're young. If you're young, I think this would look gorgeous under the eyes. Same with this. Same with this. If you have got older, dry, crinkly under eyes, I swear it does not matter how much moisturizer. I put a lot of moisture. I have tried a million different things. There is very little that works. Like, it doesn't feel dry, but it ends up looking dry. It's just so thin and crepey. I'm almost 50. There is just, it's a challenging area. I'm still working on finding like my perfect situation there, but we're not there yet. I think this one's more like $11 or $12, but it will last you forever. My teenage, well, I guess she's 22 now. My daughter, she would wear this. A lot of times it's a little too dark for her because she's ghosty white, but she really liked this for coverage with her younger, but you know, acne skin. What I do is I use them in spot areas, and I will just sort of tamp them in to like basically take the shine away from any kind of cover up I put over a pimple or a red spot or whatever, and it's got so much coverage that it just seals it in and makes it look great. Okay, so my only complaint about this, I absolutely love this. I highly recommend this if you have a similar kind of skin situation as me. I don't like this under my eyes. It goes on looking okay under the eyes, and I love because it's got that medium coverage. I keep wanting to put it under my eyes. I keep trying, and this is what you get. It is, I've just got lines and creases. It doesn't feel dry. It looks dry. It also looks like some of my makeup has fallen down on it. That doesn't usually happen to me. It's not cute. If you are like me, maybe this is not good for under eyes. This has just got a little too much body. It's a little too heavy, which I love for the rest of my face because it really smooths out a lot of the texture that I still have, because I'm still healing the sebaceous hyperplasias and I still have some acne. I mean, my skin is still cycling as I'm switching on to the Accutane. It's much better than it was in a lot of ways, but we still have texture and just not as greasy, and I really love how this smooths it out, and then it just stays like that all day. Now I will say, because it's a powder, you'll saw it in the wear test out in normal light, you're gonna see just a tiny more texture than you would from, like, say, a serum foundation or something that really just sinks in. It does sit on top of the skin, but not in a bad way. Like, you'd have to like get up on somebody and be like, do you have powder on your face? Yeah. It is elegant, it is refined, it is beautiful. I highly recommend this if you are similar to me. I think it is a great, innovative product. It is not the same as the other ones that I've tried, and I've tried a lot of powder foundations. It manages to not be as heavy and still be very silky. It doesn't offer as much coverage because of that, but that's okay as long as you get your coverage on underneath it. So, okay, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Have you guys tried this yet? Are you thinking about trying it? Is this of any interest to you at all? Or is that price range that's pretty scary. I gotta say, I think if I weren't trying makeup all the time and, you know, making videos about it for you guys, I don't know that I would have tried. I would have thought that that was a prohibitive price for me personally. I can say if you really wanted to try a powder foundation that you want to have work as your foundation, this one is just elegant, gorgeous, it's beautiful. It is a really good one. I just wish it wasn't so expensive. Okay, hopefully this was helpful. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I sure would appreciate it if you give me a like and subscribe, as it really helps my channel to grow, and that allows me to get more makeup, try more things, and let you guys know if things are good or not. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.